record button too. I think we are live. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to 2026.
Hello, YouTube.
Let's see.
This is the first episode recorded in 26?
I think it is.
Wow.
Which is pretty... Yeah. I did go try to look at that, and it does seem like the previous one was recorded in November. So... And hasn't yet been put on the feed.
I think we're under the wire for Q1, so we can call this
Okay.
Q1 2026.
Okay, let's see. Oh, good. I have to set permissions and things. Okay. Yeah, good.
Oh, right. Yeah. If I try to share my tabs, is it going to be like, please reboot after you've enabled all these things?
Right.
I hate that. Okay. I just upgraded to Tahoe also, so now I'm finding all the new security settings.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
that's
have
fun.
to be enabled. Also, they deprecated the time capsule, which I have a lot of rage about that.
Yeah. I gave up. I lost my time capsule a long time ago, but I've been doing time machine backups to my NAS in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's just like, no, you're using the wrong file system on that. And
Exactly.
so fuck, I lost all my my time machine back, which is fine, fine, whatever. I have other backups. But anyway, I nuked everything, and now I'm using whatever new file system they like that's going to be deprecated in 5 years. And
Yeah.
but yeah. Fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, the hard drive in my time capsule died like 10 years ago or something, but it has a little USB port on the back, so you can plug in an extra hard drive to it. And so I was running that for like 10 years, but the time capsule itself uses Apple File Protocol, AFP, and that's what they deprecated. And so, you have to switch to SMB3 now, which is actually like a Windows thing. And so like you, I had to move everything to my NAS, which took a entire day. What a pain in the ass that was. And then I lost like 4 terabytes on my NAS, which I use for video backup. So that's
but hard drives are so cheap right now. It's fine to slam another one in there.
Yeah. Honestly, the problem I have is my NAS is maxed out. It's got 12 terabyte spindles in it right now, which I mean, insults someone.
I just bought a new drive. I needed. I needed a lot of storage. It didn't have to be fast, but I just needed storage. And I've got a 22 terabyte drive, which just is astounding. Seems like an astounding amount of space to me. It wasn't even the largest one they make, but it was cheapest per terabyte. It was $300, which I think was a deal. And so 22 terabytes for $300, and now I have my storage needs are met for now. But yeah, I mean, part of me just wants to buy 4 of those, put those in my NAS, and just
move to an island. That's amazing. Actually, I didn't know they made them that big. That's actually encouraging, because I was worried that I was going to have to buy another NAS. Because
I think the biggest they make is 28.
Okay.
But just the price per terabyte didn't make sense. And and the drive I just bought a couple of weeks ago for $300 is now $400, because I mean, the prices just fluctuate so much. But so you have to be lucky, or just like be patient.
The AI nonsense has ruined hard drive and RAM prices and GPU prices for like a generation. Like, I really hope we all get tired of this stupid AI thing soon, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
I've actually, I have really mixed feelings about it, but I started using it for coding, and I'm actually really enjoying myself. And I just like knocked out a site that would have taken me 6 months. Yeah, I did it in less than 48 hours, and I'm thrilled with it. And yes, I hate it though.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going away, but like you, I have complicated feelings about it, and I have used it for a couple things, and I feel dirty every time. But maybe that's just like old person ranting. I don't know. Maybe this is the future. I don't know.
But and I made. I don't know. I'm sorry for. As my experiment, I have, as you know, I have a bunch of printables websites, and they were all made a decade ago, and anyway, so I was just like, let's make a printable maze website that is interactive and immediate. And I did it first for certificates. And I did it in 2 hours, and it's so much better than anything I have ever created. And you can just type, the certificate is for K Savitz, and it's like shows it to you right there live. You can see what it looks like, and you hit print, and it just sends you the PDF, which isn't somehow never on the server. It's rendered in your browser, so you're the only person so no one can ever possibly steal it or see your information. It's magical, and I hate it.
Yep.
but I'm gonna use it before they take over the world or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing I worry about with like the big hard drives, I have what is it? It's like four 8-bay like ODBC things, and I'm using something called Snap RAID, which is like not sort of live RAID, but it's when I tell it to, it will do its resolution. I'm thinking that might reduce wear on the hard drives, but the thing is, like, when one dies and I have to reconstitute it, it's like 48 hours or something. It's like 12 terabytes of rebuilding is rough. And of course the risk there is that now the other ones around it are going to fail because they're suddenly being stressed out.
Yeah, honestly, like, I worried about that at first, but I don't think I've ever had a drive fail. Like, maybe I had one of my 3 terabyte spindles fail, but it was like 15 years old or something. Like,
don't say those words, Quinn.
Well, that's why we have RAID, so they can fail. But like, yeah, they
Right.
grind 24/7, and I don't know. It's amazing. I'm surprised they don't fail more. But I don't know. The drives seem to be like, hard drive bearings seems to be a solved problem because they just don't seem to die. But yeah.
Excellent.
Anyway, shall we do a podcast?
I suppose we should.
We didn't get dressed up for nothing.
That's right. Yeah, I think we I like, one of the things that keeps us from managing this more often is that it's always like 2 people that can do it. And then, and then it never quite seem worth recording.
Like I said, I told you, I think on the chat, like, you asked me to be here to be that third person sometimes, which is great. But then I'm just so bad at Discord, I never get the alerts. So
right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Paul's just like emailing me like an old man, going like, "Hello, can you make it to the?"
Sending you certified mail.
Yeah. My yahoo.com address.
Yeah. And Blake would have been here, except that his like Xfinity, his whole Xfinity ecosystem.
Say no more.
Yeah, he's consumed with rage right now.
Blake's never coming back again.
Yeah, he's just like technical difficulties sign on his brain right now. He's in so much pain.
Best kind of difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I hit the wrong thing. Okay.
All right.
Google Docs. Okay.
It's March 1st, 2026, and welcome to episode 290 of the Retrocomputing Roundtable. Yes, there is a podcast about retro computer news, nostalgia, collecting, scanning beige boxes, and other such things. I'm Paul Hagstrom, near Boston. I am joined today by 2 retrocomputing enthusiasts. We have Kay Savitz in Portland. How are you?
Near Portland. I'm great.
Near Portland. Excellent. And Quinn Dunkey in undisclosed mountain location in British Columbia.
Yeah. I mean, how big is Portland anyway?
Big. 500,000 people.
Yeah. So we're all kind of near it, I guess.
Yeah. That's right, geologically speaking.
Quinn Dunkey, near mountain.
Yes. Well, British Columbia is huge, so I could be anywhere.
Yeah. So this actually, we were discussing this ahead of time. This is the first episode we've recorded in 2026, and actually the previous one that we recorded back in November.
Maybe the last, depending on how it goes.
Well, that's right. Yes, if the world survives. But yeah, no. Anyway, so happy 2026. Hopefully we can kind of remember how to do this. I think usually what happens is that the thing we can't remember is how to finish. We just keep going.
Our slogan is better late than never for a reason.
That's right. But okay, so this is episode 290. The tradition we've been following is that we've been kind of tracking the years with the last 2 digits of the episodes, which would bring us up to 1990. And I think we're all kind of feeling like it's possible that this is the end of the interesting era.
Yeah.
So, in fact, we did this back in the olden days. So the episodes from like, I don't know what it was, like 80 to 89 or something like that were also tracking the years. And when I went back and looked at episode 90 of the Retrocomputing Roundtable, we'd given up then too. So we're going one step further.
There's some listener out there going like, oh yay, we're getting into the era of beige boxes. This is going to be my favorite, and the next 10 episodes are going to be the best. And then we're like going to be like, no.
Yeah.
And honestly, we can. It's not just that the computers are about to get boring, because they are, but also things stop changing. Like, we're out of the steep part of the curve. So like, this is sort of the golden era of PC gaming, for example, and we can talk about that. But like, I don't know, clock speeds sort of just sort of steadily rise, and RAM and hard drives get bigger, but really nothing else changes for 15 years or so. And then on the Apple side, it's the 15 worst years of Apple's history, just endless nonsensical Power Macs that nobody cares about. And so it's just not very interesting anymore.
Rather than stopping, how about going back to like Ada Lovelace and, be like, let's start at 1843.
Let's wrap around to 1890.
1891,
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, it back when we were doing like the 50s and things, it was in the 60s, it became clear where our sweet spots are, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So we generated rage about like Unisys and stuff.
Yeah, we said countless wrong things about Bendix's and CDCs, and but it was. I like doing that stuff though, because I learned something in every episode. Because our live commenters would correct us, and we would do a lot of reading Wikipedia live, which is great radio, and I learned a lot in every episode.
Yep. So let's see. The one thing I usually do to cheat is I go to the Computer History Museum and just say, like, what's happening in 1990, and as we sort of scroll through this, it's like, well, there's a hard drive and Touchstone Delta supercomputer comes online, and it says magneto optical discs.
That's the future.
But the thing is, it's wrong too. So I saw that and I thought, 1990, didn't we talk about this already? Like, the Next came out.
The Next already had them by then, yeah.
So, anyway. But, Windows 3. So, Photoshop is potentially interesting. At least as a mention. That was it was started in 1987, but for like 1.0 was released in 1990. And it made the world much better. Yeah,
and gave Macs a reason to exist for the next 15 years until video came along.
Yeah, I guess it was, first it was desktop publishing. And
what else does it have that year? Let's see what they say. The official CHM could not. The World Wide Web is born.
Right.
Never
So I think we've talked about that like the last couple of episodes too. I mean, like it keeps recurring because 1989.
Yeah. Keeps getting born again.
Yeah. Well, and all of this stuff is sort of a crossfade more than an event. It's not like they flip a switch and now the web exists. It's like, well, this all the stuff we've been playing with for 15 years is sort of coalescing and gaining popularity. Like, that's less interesting as a history point, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, one thing on the magneto optical. So I went and looked at this because I thought that does seem wrong that it's 1990, and it sort of talks through this about, I think it was like 1985, and 1990 they'd already managed to get a 7 gigabyte disk out and stuff, but
never going to fill that space.
Yeah. This is the thing that caught my attention though, is the mini disk. Do people know the mini disk?
I remember it. Yeah,
sure.
There was that one guy in every university class who had one and was like a religious zealot about it. Certain technologies create zealots. Amigas and other things, and for some reason the mini disc was one of those. Like, if either it was your religion or you'd never heard of it. And the guy who was his religion, he went around telling everybody about the mini disc and how we were all stupid for not using it.
If you want to know about the mini disc, the place to go is minidisc.wiki. This is where the modern day mini disc zealots live, and they know everything.
That's amazing.
And it is amazing. And something, so if you, in the modern day, I'm probably not getting the details right because I'm not a mini disc zealot, but back until a couple of years ago, if you wanted to get we'll say a recording off of a mini disc, you had to do it in real time. You had to, for most players, you had to plug it into your audio input on your computer and let it play. And in an hour disc would take an hour, whatever. There were a couple of mini disc players, like literally 2 models that had the ability to offload the files as data. A bunch of them had USB, but there were only a couple of models where you could actually just could do a file copy, and those were highly sought after because it made it way easier to get music off, and therefore very expensive and whatever. So the folks at minidisc.wiki, just like a year ago, maybe 2, recently, came up with a system where you can hook. They basically overrode the copy protection, and you can hook any mini disc with USB, even the kinds that aren't supposed to have the magic, to your computer. Do a little hookery-pokery in the command line, and just get all your stuff off immediately. So I think it's amazing people are doing things like that.
That is amazing. Yeah. I make fun of the zealots, but it's the zealots that'll save us all, because they're the ones who are willing to put in the effort to solve those kinds of problems that nobody else would ever bother. And then there's a lot of stuff that's probably only exists on mini disc that we would then lose. So
right.
Yeah. And honestly, it was a great format, technically speaking, like from a technical standpoint. Sony was always very good at that, like coming up with technically superior formats that didn't catch on for various messy reasons, cost or market share or licensing agreements or whatever. But they were very good at inventing formats.
I did not know that about the so I was gonna rant a bit about the exactly that, that so first of all, the way the mini disc stores audio data is it's compressed. So there's this adaptive transform acoustic coding compression that they use. So it's not even, they like to say it's sort of CD quality, but it's not even quite, because it's compressed. But then there was this issue that basically they're all players. I mean, even the ones that could record, you can record onto them, but you can't get the data out. So exactly what Kay was saying. And there was a time, like my roommate had a recorder, and I archived all my audio tapes to this, and then I couldn't get them off. so this MZRH1 is the one that sort of officially can get them off. And if you look at the prices on eBay, they're all like $1,000, $700.
Yeah.
But I did not know.
I don't think I knew that mini discs were a recordable format at all. That's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was trying to save my degrading my magnetic audio tapes in a future-proof way.
Oops.
Yeah. But yeah, so I will have to check this out. I guess this must be the Web Minidisc Pro that does the audio. So I do have a cheap minidisc player that I could maybe try this out on. But and I
have one. It's like I have a rack mount mini disc player, but it doesn't have USB, so it can't, that's the magic. So
yeah, I did in 2019 I caved and bought a RH1 so that I could get this, but I mean it was hundreds of dollars.
So that overlap is interesting. Mini disc and USB, that would be a very thin overlap because USB was very new in like 95, 96. Because I remember like mini discs were popular at like my last year of university, and USB just came out after I left university. So like that overlap couldn't have been more than a year or two. So that might be why the players with USB are rare.
Yeah, but they were. I mean, it was a very explicit choice. You know, that this sort of like anti-piracy measure or something that you could not extract this even from
Right.
the other players.
Yeah. Sony's always been extremely concerned about that for sure. Whenever they invent a new format, they always slather on 16 layers of DRM because they want it to be a standard, but also they don't want anyone else to make any money or use it in any creative way that doesn't benefit them.
Right.
It's the American way. Quinn.
Yeah, and the Japanese way apparently. But that might also be the answer to my previous question of why Sony's formats never quite catch on. They got lucky once with the CD, and they made a ridiculous pile of money doing that. And so that very quickly became their business model. Like, oh, we're going to invent formats now. That's our thing because look how much money it makes. And then it never worked again. I guess it sort of did with Blu-ray, but that's a 20-year gap of inventing formats, and it never worked again.
You got to throw stuff against the wall till it sticks, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I guess you only have to win a CD lottery ticket once.
Right. Yeah.
They made hundreds of billions probably on CD licensing fees.
Okay, to sort of go back down through this list, the video toaster. I don't think we have any Amiga heads here, but
no, our token Blake is absent. But
yep.
Yeah, speaking of, I made a joke about Photoshop giving people a reason to buy Macs, and yeah, this thing kept the Amiga alive way longer than it had any right to, because
yes, absolutely.
It turned out that there was this tiny little niche problem that really needed solving, and people with money would pay to solve that problem, and this was the only way to do it.
But the thing was, I mean, instead of spending $30,000 or whatever to solve your problem of doing video editing, you could do it here for $2,000 or $3,000. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
So this was people with a little bit of money.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. Totally.
Or prosumers, hobbyists, or whatever, who got to do something that they never would have gotten to do otherwise. Yeah. Let's edit video.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things where once you learn about it and you talk to people like who were doing broadcast television in the early 90s, it was universal. Like everything you saw in the 90s, you know, in terms of being rendered on television screens, scrolling credits and lower thirds, and all those chyrons and all that stuff, it was all video toaster. Yeah, you can actually see the change. So in the 80s, overlaid text was always the same kind of yellow, blocky font. You see it in news broadcast footage and title screens for television shows and so on. And then all of a sudden, like in apparently 1990, it goes to this slightly better thing that it then becomes the standard. And that slightly better thing, I think, was all video toaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a show. What is that called? I'll get there in just a second. It's Natasha Lyonne, the Columbo reboot.
I love that show. Yeah.
Yeah. Poker Face.
Poker Face. Great show.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a Columbo reboot. That's cool.
Well, it's not really, but I mean, like it has some DNA from it.
Okay.
They even make reference to it sometimes. They kind of joke about it, but
just one more thing.
Yeah, it's a great joke. Yeah, she says it. Yeah.
Nice.
But they do. Part of the 80s homage is like the title stuff actually does kind of look like it came from the 80s.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, it is a good show. I wonder if it's coming back or if it's over now.
I think it's coming for another season. I think.
Okay, let's see. What else? So, yeah, I guess we did mention that there were a pile of Macs in the 1990s.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually, it seems like they're a little bit notable. So the Mac LC started in 1990, which was like low cost, I think is what it stood for. And it was like the cheap color education computer.
Yeah.
So
they were somehow fine. They were not fun if you'd ever use a Quadra, you know? I mean, they were just like, it ran the thing eventually.
Right. Yeah, they were. I had a friend, in college. Like I don't know what I had. I guess maybe at that point I may have had a SE30 or something. But yeah, and I mean, it was painful to wait for this thing to. But it did. The one thing that the LC had was it had the ability to take the Apple IIe card. So I think a lot of them were bought just to be like new 2Es.
Yeah, and I mean, still at this time, color on Macs was very, very expensive. So that was like, if you just wanted a color Mac, this was, I guess, a good option. If you just wanted to play Civilization or whatever, because yeah, it was really like the Mac 2s and the 2FXs and stuff prior to this that you had to buy to get color.
SimCity or whatever you're into.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I played a lot of Civilization on like an LC, I think, that was my sister's. So it was good for that kind of stuff. Does anyone know when the first Power Mac was? Was that 90, 93, 94?
It's probably, that seems probably about right. That's about where I was in life when I got it.
Yeah, I remember they came out when I was in university, because I went down to the university bookstore, which was an official Apple dealer, to see them because they had one there. And of course, it was a pretty big deal, seemingly, at the time. But since we're not going to do more 90s stuff, we could the first Power Mac was a big deal. It was the first architecture change that Apple had ever done. And they did that pretty heroic thing with Rosetta to make it all seamlessly compatible with the Motorola stuff, which
the first of about 12 times they would do that.
Yeah. I mean, the company,
so far.
Yeah, the company has gotten very good at making those kinds of transitions pretty invisibly, honestly. I don't think they get enough credit for how hard that is and how pretty seamless it is. It's obviously not perfect, but I mean, like, Microsoft has never attempted that. They've never done it. So I think we should give credit where it's due.
Yeah, I think it looks to me like the Power Mac 6100 was somewhere in 1982, I think. Oh, 1994. Okay, but anyway, yeah, it's about the right time period.
Yeah, and unfortunately, much foofara was made about how fast they were, but then, of course, all of the software was running on the Rosetta compatibility layer for like the first 2 years, because it was slow to convert all the software. So the performance seemed pretty, modest in improvement, which probably hurt the sales a lot, because people, went to see it expecting this revolutionary speed increase, and it was just sort of okay. And it was like, oh, well, okay. It's not worth twice the money or whatever.
Yeah, I think I had a Quadra that I did sort of like an in-place logic board upgrade on, and it was disappointing. Expensive and disappointing.
Yeah.
But the Mac Classic was also 1990, so the last reboot, I guess, of that. The 2FX, the aforementioned 2FX wicked fast thing.
Those things were so expensive. I remember they had those at the university bookstore too, and like a reasonably equipped 2FX with monitor was something like $25,000. Like, they were bananas.
Wow.
Yeah.
What they wanted for those things. Yeah, I don't know who the market was, but it was crazy.
Yeah. And I think they use some kind of special RAM. So I think, in the modern day, if you want to try to get something running, it's a big pain in the neck, because like you have to find that special RAM.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so expensive. I think it was just a case of trying to charge what they felt the market would bear. I don't think the hardware was worth that kind of money. It was just Apple being Apple.
Yeah. And Kay wanted to talk about the 2SI.
Yeah, also that year came out the 2SI, which was nothing special, but I bought one a couple years later, in I think 92, so it was probably reaching end of life at that, I don't know, or middle. But that's my first Mac that I used to write a bunch of books and articles about the internet and stuff like that. And I think it had a maximum of 16 megabytes of memory, which was like enough, but not like, I later got a cheap used 2CI from a buddy, and that could have like twice as much memory or something. That helped. But anyway, nothing special, except there was one on my desk, and there we are.
Yeah. It is funny. These like, I do find this time confusing, even though I was kind of in that ecosystem. But yeah, I used a 2CX at work for a little while, and then I don't know if I used a 2SI. I might have, but the 2CI apparently was the big one. I mean, like the 2CI was a big seller, and they all look roughly the same.
Yeah, we need Carrington in here. He's our resident '90s Mac expert, because there was like weird subtle differences between the CX and the CI and the SI, and like what RAM they could use or what the limits on them were, what expansion they had, and there was some of them were like real dead ends, like the SX, like the 46SX of the Mac world that you wanted to avoid, but then like others were quietly superstars, like a great value for the money, which I think the CI was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you had to really know what you were doing to sort it all out.
Yeah, I think there was one. I don't know if it's so. I'm looking at everymac.com. I think somewhere I forget exactly where they have these lists, but there's a list called like road apples of like terrible Macs. and I think I know it was the 2VX. That was the one. It's like that's the one that's like known to be horrible.
Oh, wow.
So the 2VX, because I think it was immediately replaced by something else, and it was super limited, and like what I don't know. Anyway, it was I forget what the issue was, but it's something like the bus speed was not up to what the processor could do, or some sort of thing.
Oh, and look right there, the introductory price, the equivalent of almost $7,000 for the worst Mac ever made. Like Apple was losing their minds on pricing now in that era. And like, that's why to this day, Apple still has this reputation of it all being incredibly overpriced, when it's mostly not nowadays, or if it is, it's a little bit overpriced. But I mean, during this era, it was bananas. Like you could get a 5 times better PC for a third of that easy. Like go down to Best Buy and buy a Dell, and it's going to be a way better machine than that for a tiny fraction of the money. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's bananas.
Yeah.
And so this, I see the Centrus 650 mentioned there. So yeah, the Centrus 660 was my first Mac, and that was a very notable machine. Actually, that was a fun one. That was one of the only fun Macs from this period, because that was the one that had the GeoPort, and it had the what do you call it? The DSP in it. So it would actually emulate a modem with the digital signal processor, and it could do video overlay. You could plug your video signal from a cable box into it and watch TV in a window while you're playing or run it. It would do alpha transparency, so you could watch TV at 50% alpha on your desktop, and just like cool, wild stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really neat machine. And it had,
I don't know what the GeoPort is that you mentioned.
The GeoPort was an interface to a telephone line. It was an interface between the telephone line and the digital signal processor, and the DSP would actually bit bang modem signals in real time. So it would just emulate modems, which was neat, because you could, as the modem standards got faster and faster, you just needed a software update and your modem would get faster. You didn't have to buy new modems. So that was a really neat thing. And this was also where they introduced the first version of voice recognition that was almost pretty good. Like it actually worked okay, which for the 90s is a big deal. So it had that weird little microphone that sat on the front of the monitor that was a weird shape. And it was designed to cancel echo bouncing off the wall behind the computer. So it actually worked okay as voice recognition from the period goes. But it's certainly nothing like it is today, where you can just ask Siri to do stuff and it does stuff or whatever. But yeah, it was. And so it had, the voice recognition and the voice synthesis also was actually excellent on it. So that was when they introduced their text to speech thing, and it would do different accents. You could read your email in a Scottish accent or whatever, and it would generate all that kind of stuff in real time from the DSP. So yeah, really neat machine. I don't know how it got invented and was so different than all the other Macs, but it was neat.
Yeah, and I know it was kind of like there were the Performas and the Centras and the Quadras, and like you had to somehow and they were they were roughly the same except targeted to different markets. And
Yeah,
some things
and
had like a CD after their name. And
yeah, there's a lot of subtypes. So mine was the 660 AV specifically, which was the one that had the DSP in it. But otherwise, it was a Centris 650 with this DSP added. And that was
the microphone this thing. I have like a ton of gray ones.
That's the weird microphone.
They're just everywhere.
Yeah. It has there's a microphone facing backwards. That's why it has the holes on the back, because that was like a noise canceling thing to try and make the interpretation better. Basically, the microphone was designed to clean up the audio as much as possible to make less work for the DSP to convert it. So it is it makes you appreciate how good voice recognition is now. The fact that your phone can be sitting on the desk at a weird angle in a room with terrible acoustics, and you can yell at it to order you toilet paper and it just works. That's a miracle, honestly, considering how difficult that problem is to solve. Yeah. That audio is going to be very bad quality and difficult to parse.
Let's see, another thing that is in the list. Maybe Kay, you want to talk about these?
I looked at Internet Archive's computer magazine collection, and just show me 1990, and I don't know. I just noticed it was a strange amalgamation of the new modern computers and like dying computers that didn't know they were dead yet. I mean, alongside Macworld and Mac User and PC whatever, there's still Computes Gazette about the Commodore 64 and some BBC Acorn stuff and Atari Explorer and the last issue of Antic Magazine, which was about Atari 8-bit, and some MSX. I mean, like these systems. They had to have known that like their time was up, but they're still pumping out their little magazines.
Yeah.
That's a great lens through which to view history. Yeah, because I remember how magazines they take a long time to die, and they would just get thinner and thinner and thinner.
Oh yeah.
And then they would go to quarterly, and then they would go to black and white, and then they would go to newsprint paper. Like there's this sort of degeneration that would happen, and then one day they just get canceled. But yeah, and that still happens to this day. I actually subscribe to a couple of hobby magazines, and of course, magazines, period, are dying. So they're all thin and they're all quarterly. But there's certain niches where they're still existing, but the death is slow.
Mm-hmm. I definitely remember this like, it was probably sort of early 80s time or mid 80s when, I subscribed to a number of Apple magazines, and they sort of like slowly collapsed into each other. So, Insider became Insider A+, and, and I think Soft Talk, when it died, fulfilled the rest of its subscriptions with A+ also. And yeah. Soft Talk went out suddenly. I mean, like there was, I think it was August 1984 came out, and then the company was gone. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but there was they had a couple of them. There was a Mac one, and there was an IBM PC one, as well as the Apple II one, and they all just like folded at the same time. The whole company just disappeared. Let's see. Maybe that's good enough for 1990. Yeah. But all right. So I guess the next thing we do is move to items of interest in news. And let's see who has those. Kay, I guess you're first.
Am I? Great.
You are. Yes.
Lucky me. I have to find our place in the show notes. I don't.
The Interim Computer Museum. I don't think we have talked about this.
Okay. Let me find. So I recently kind of discovered the Interim Computer Museum at icm.museum. And this is a nonprofit. First of all, they are not new. They are the same folks who do sdf.org, which has been like a public-facing Unix system since 1987. These guys have been around a long time. Anyway, so one of the people I will always be mad at until I die is Paul Allen, who created the Living Computer Museum, and then died without having like set up anything and any sort of long-term legacy for this thing. So when he died, his sister's like, old computers are dumb, and got rid of the stuff.
Unbelievable.
So yes, and I will punch him in the face forever about this. I mean, and you know, it would have taken his lawyer half a day's worth of work to set up the funding and the trusts and whatever. They didn't do it. Fine, whatever. Fuck him. Anyway, so the Living Computer Museum stuff ended up in a couple of different places, but one of them is not too far, a little bit of south of Seattle at this SDF organization. And they've created the Interim Computer Museum, which is taking and trying to do the right thing with this stuff. And I think, again, don't quote me, never trust anything I say on this podcast. I think they got most or all of the software from the LCM's collection, and they got some of the computers. And so they've set their computers up. Some of them are now available online. You can log in. They already had other computers online, so that's not new, but they added things. You can go online and you can look at the collections, and they have a wonderfully retro website, and they put on events. They're bringing back the Vintage Computer Festival Northwest, which will be in a couple months in May 2026, in a little bit south of Seattle. And I love these people for just picking up this little scrappy nonprofit, picking up where friggin' richest man in the world couldn't do it right. So anyway, I signed up. I gave them some money. I'm giving them some amount of dollars every quarter or something, just because I love what they do, and I think that people should at least be aware of it. And so at icm.museum, check them out, and I wish them well.
That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that at least some of Paul Allen's stuff went somewhere deserving, because that was unconscionable that he didn't do something better than that with his thing. Turns out the whole thing was a vanity project and not actually a museum, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Quinn, I guess you have the next thing.
Yeah, so I've got one quick one that I just wanted to call out, because I think this wins my annual award for weirdest port ever. It's not an award that many people have heard of, but I do it every year. Not really. But yeah, someone has ported a Calibeth to Intellivision. And that tickles my brain to just say that, because what a weird thing to do. And I love weird things like this. I love that someone did something like this just because they could. So they took, without a doubt, the worst game that Lord British ever made, but it was his first game, so we forgive him. It's better than all of my first games by quite a bit. And it was literally written in BASIC, so this was a very simple thing. But someone has ported it to Intellivision, and what a bang-up job they did. I mean, look at this. They did the controller overlays, they did a CD, and they did boxes, and they did the cartridges, and I mean, it's just, it's incredible. So someone really, really leaned into this extremely weird thing, which makes me love it even more, because if you're going to do something weird, go hard. And boy, did they go hard. So it's the Intellivision is such a weird system to program for. It's a weird CPU and a weird architecture. And so you kind of have to be an aforementioned zealot to sit down and port something to it. And then to pick this game of all games to port is fascinating. Now, to be clear, the Intellivision actually has quite a substantial homebrew community around it. It is actually quite a popular target for modern retro game development, but I've never seen anyone port something quite this weird. So I love Intellivision, and I love Lord British stuff, so this pushed all my buttons. But yeah, so that's it.
Love that.
Yeah. So
That's excellent.
I want to, maybe this has been mentioned before. I don't listen to this podcast, but
none of us do.
Yeah.
I guess in 2024, MIT Press came out with a book called Intellivision: How a Video Game System Battled Atari and Almost Bankrupted Barbie. It's got the history of Intellivision and a lot of technical details. I it's really an amazing platform study. And being a MIT Press book, it's expensive, but also being an MIT Press book, it's open source. So you can read it for free as a PDF or on Internet Archive.
Oh, I love that. Okay, thank you. I didn't know about that.
I will slam up a link to that.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, it's sadly no longer around, but I used to listen to one of the original Blue Sky Rangers had a podcast, a television podcast, and they were doing gameplays and talking about the history and so on. So for anyone not familiar with the platform, Blue Sky Rangers were kind of the internal software development team at Mattel, and they were basically the only ones doing anything good on the platform. All the good stuff was them. They were kind of the Activision of the platform. And I don't know how they got that name or what it means, but that's what they called them. And so it was this group of like 10 dudes basically that wrote everything of any quality. And they wrote a lot of really amazing stuff. So it was really cool to hear all of his stories, but they sort of ran out of stories, I guess, and then they just killed the podcast. But anyway. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly shout that one out. Now I have another item that's a little more substantial. So let's switch over to that tab. So a couple episodes ago, we talked about Fabian, how do you say his last name? Sanglard, who recreated his favorite PC. We made a joke at the top of the show about how could anyone be nostalgic about these stupid beige box 90s PCs. Well, in fact, people are, Fabian being one of them. And so he recreated his dream PC from 1993 down to every single detail, like the exact same model number of, video card and RAM and all of the original boxes for everything. He bought only new in box shrink wrapped stuff. Some of it, like he wanted the exact same CD-ROM drive that he had, which he ended up paying thousands of dollars for because there was exactly one unopened one on the earth or something. And it was, anyway, amazing story.
And
so
now
he's
there
done
are
it.
zero.
Yeah, exactly. So he's done it again, this time with a 1995 PC. He wanted to build the perfect Quake PC. The perfect PC for running Quake in 1995. And again, spared no expense, spared no detail, and goes into great gory detail about exactly how he went about this. So this was really the very beginning of the golden age of PC gaming and or at least 3D PC gaming. So prior to this, it was VGA and Sound Blaster, and you had the Bullfrog games and that kind of first golden age or silver age, if you want to call it. And then after that came out, that once the Voodoo 2 came out, that was really the start of 3D hardware accelerated gaming and a new golden age on the PC. So this is basically the year that the Voodoo 2 came out, and he bought two of them because you could SLI them, and he built the ultimate 1995 gaming PC. Again, all brand new shrink wrapped accessory cards. Really incredible. I don't want to ask how much he paid for two original shrink wrapped Voodoo 2s, because that card is sought after. It's kind of a legend. And then he built it all up with period correct everything again from the year. So the detail is amazing. The zealotry is the theme of the episode is incredible. And for those of us who were not PC people at the time, once again, as per Fabian's previous article, we all knew PC stuff was kind of a pain, and it is so much worse than you thought it was. I talked about last episode how much trouble it was to get CD-ROMs to work, because I think, what was the number? There was 17 different CD-ROM standards on PCs at the time, and you had to know exactly which one you had, and they weren't described in that way. Anyway, it was a nightmare to get a CD-ROM working, and it's all the same with this era of stuff. It's a nightmare to get it working, but the story is great. The write-up is great, and I love this level of nerd intensity. Always makes me happy. So it's a great story, and this one had a little bit of a personal impact as well, because the Voodoo 2, that was my first, my first PC, I guess, AAA game job was writing a game targeted at the Voodoo 2. And the thing had literally just come out like that month when we started this game project for it. And it was really, really cool to be working on what felt like such cutting edge stuff at the time. So the Voodoo 2 was an amazing thing. It was such a special thing. And it was a kind of a joy to program for it. So it was neat to revisit this from that angle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're interested, I mean, I couldn't give two shakes of a lamb's tail about Quake. I never cared about those FPSs, especially the early ones that all looked like brown pixel trash. But the story is a good one, and it's certainly an important era of PC gaming, if not a very attractive one. I was still into the isometric games all through this period, because the early 3D games just look like trash until 2010 or something, maybe even 20. They still kind of look like trash to me. I don't know. I like pixel graphics, I guess. But yeah, during this time, I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and Baldur's Gate, because those were beautiful to look at and fun, instead of Quake, which looks like trash. But to each their own. But yeah, so anyway, good read. Fabian's blog is always great.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize that I wasn't the only one in the world that thought Quake actually didn't look very good.
Oh, it looks terrible. I don't understand what people see in it. I really don't. I guess it's the gameplay. So we talked about zealotry. So there are, of course, still Quake zealots to this day. And one of the things Fabian does in this article is he connects his Quake PC to a Quake World server, which was the original LAN or internet rather gameplay service for Quake. And it started as a fan project, and then id kind of incorporated it officially. But it started as just a fan thing, and it's still running. So there are still original Quake World servers, and you can connect your 1995 PC to it and play. And he does that, and it's wild. But so one of a job I worked at in 2010, I was at Pandemic Studios, and we had a bunch of Swedes there, and the Swedes were all super, super into Quake, the original Quake. And they would play it on their modern monstrous PCs that we all had on our desks. They would play it at 320 by 200 with all of the settings turned off, all the lighting and everything all shut off. And they would only run diagonally, because that was like 1 frame in 10 was faster if you ran diagonally. And they would get 250 frames per second, and they would play so fast that you couldn't follow it at all. I would watch them play these death matches, and it's just a blur of brown pixels.
It doesn't matter if the graphics suck, if it's going so fast that you can't actually see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But there was something about that gameplay that it was just a drug to them. They loved it. And they intentionally made it look as bad as possible for the frame rate. But to each their own. I was not one of those gamers.
If I remember right, Quake had the CD, the Quake CD actually had audio on it too, right? This was, I think Trent Reznor was involved in making the soundtrack to Quake, and so it played data and also just whatever the audio standard is for CDs.
That sounds right. Yeah, the Red Book. Yeah, and you had to have the special audio patch cable between the CD-ROM drive and your sound card. Fabian actually talks about that in the previous series that he did in the 1993 PC, because again, there was only a couple of CD-ROMs that supported that, and you had to have one of the right 50 drivers to make that actually work. And there was a special cable that you had to run inside your PC, an audio cable from the back of the CD-ROM drive to your sound card's input. It was this, if you did all of that and somehow got it all set up just right, then yes, it would play audio tracks off of the CD directly through your sound card during gameplay without using any CPU. So it wasn't decompressing or streaming anything. It was literally just playing an audio track in parallel with reading data, which a few early CD-ROMs could do that.
Cool. Actually, it reminds me slightly of what is it called, Roller Coaster? The video disc game that Kay, you got that running, I think.
Yes, that's right.
On a CD, right?
Yeah.
Or a DVD, I guess.
It was originally done on Laserdisc, and then I got it running off of DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Time. That's kind of what Red Book Audio was. Yeah, it was like one of those early video Laserdisc arcade games.
Yeah. So for this project, I was controlling the Laserdisc or the DVD from serial, using a serial controller off of an Apple II or an Atari 800. Later, I never mentioned this to anybody, but later I got a cassette player, which was serial controllable, and I was working with figuring that out. You could play the tape, rewind, do all the things. It was actually dual deck, so you could switch decks, and I just had this amazing ideas for you could have you could have, even with 2 tapes in there ready to go, you could have, like, if you do this, play this. If you do the other thing, it would have been amazing. But this particular cassette drive I had has a problem with some fatal flaw with the mechanism, and they just die, and they crack, and you can't replace them. And I guess no one has a 3D printed fix. So anyway, I never got very as far as I wanted on that project, but I love serial controllable things.
Yeah, I remember those. Those were those tape decks that had a remote port. It looked like just an audio jack, but it was labeled remote.
Yeah.
And if you had like I had one of those Tandy pocket computers, and it could store programs on one of those, but you had to have it had to have that remote port.
Yeah.
And I only ever saw one. I spent much of my teens looking at the backs of tape decks trying to find this remote port.
This particular tape deck that I had, it actually had a serial port.
Oh, it was an actual.
It wasn't even. Yeah. So that was fun, but I don't know. Makes me sad.
Yeah.
Bring back serial ports.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of this thing. I have. It's probably in a box just over there, but oh no,
it will never be found.
I did get rid of it, but it was sort of like a family trivia game, electronic thing that was I don't know, Milton Bradley or somebody made this thing, but it was a trivia game that ran on 8-track tapes. So you put in an 8-track tape, and it sort of used the track selection to like read in data that was about what the right answer was. So you'd have to like type in what you thought the right answer was, and then it would say that's correct, or and it would read you the trivia. I think there was Vincent Price was one of the narrators on one of them. And
oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a close cousin of those VHS party games. Do you remember those? It was like a board game that had a VHS tape in it. Weirdly, there was a Community episode about those. They found one, and they did a whole episode where the cast plays this VHS game, and gets weirdly intense about it, of course. But those were a strange moment in time.
I
found it's the Omni Entertainment System.
Oh, wow. Look at that thing.
Needs more buttons needed.
Yeah. Wow. It's like the forbidden love child of an 8-track player and a Simon.
Yeah. Right. It's actually quite large too, which is one of the reasons I sort of prioritized getting rid of it. But
I have one of those 2XL or whatever, the robots thing that takes a 8-track tape and can answer questions on it and stuff. It's very small and cute.
I guess 8-track was a good choice for this kind of stuff because it's a tape loop, and so seeking on it would be a lot quicker than a regular reel-to-reel tape or a cassette tape.
Right.
So I guess that's why they all used 8 tracks.
I mean, but also it just the ability to jump tracks immediately. You could
right.
Whatever on track 2 you say right answer, on track 3 you say wrong answer, and that's it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Speaking of weird dead-end technologies, 8-track was a weird moment in time too.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So now I've lost the show notes. Where are they? Here they are.
Oh, and Kay has just run to the closet and brought out some sort of 8-track tape-based contraption. What is this, Kay?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, this is the aforementioned robot.
Yeah.
I think you're muted there.
You're muted, yeah. But the Tecmon.
This is the aforementioned robot. It's called a 2XL, and it was made by Megacorp.
Nice.
It's the perfect name.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like an 80s robot. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that thing.
And and this cassette, this is general information for the 2XL. Yeah, you just put it in this little mouth, and it's got the little buttons that say question, A, yes, B, A, yes, true, B, more info, C, no, false. And
fantastic. I love that. It's like an Omnibot that hasn't grown up yet. Wow. I have never heard of that or seen that. That's fantastic. What a wonderful artifact.
Yeah. That is pretty wild. Okay, let's see. what's happening. I think we just finished the items of interest in
That
news, didn't
was,
we?
yeah, if that might have been the last news item.
Yeah. So I guess that means now a word from our sponsor, which might be the dog.
I can just not mute. I'll not mute, and we'll just let Gigi bark and bark and bark
That's right.
and bark.
Eventually-
That's why we record local audio.
Yeah.
All right, you play the commercial. I'm gonna go shut them up.
Yeah. Of course, we don't actually play the commercial. Anyway.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can find like an ad for one of these robots, these 8-track things.
Yes, that would be amazing.
That's always sort of
Literally-
a fun challenge, is like digging through YouTube to try to find like something that's vaguely related.
I'm always amazed at the commercials that you dig up, and equally amazed that people have archived all that stuff. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I do have like a pile of videotapes, but of course all my videotapes, I think I've probably even mentioned this here before, this like crazy Perl system that I made to
yes.
like keep track of everything.
Yes.
But
one of my favorite facts about this show is that Paul has been quietly and single-handedly archiving all of broadcast television for like 10 years.
yeah, but so that's like, the shows that I archived are not particularly interesting, but like the little like ads from 1997 might be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the commercials are the best part of that footage for sure. Yeah, like we've talked about in the past, how people have uploaded like B-roll from news programs from the 80s. Like there's one that's just 20 minutes of a guy walking around in a Sears in 1986 or whatever. And now that's incredible. Like it's incredible footage. And it was literally throwaway B-roll that someone fortunately saved and is now a treasure trove.
Having now looked on Wikipedia, I would like to amend what I said before, because you can't trust anything I say in this podcast. According to Wikipedia, it was Mego Corporation, not Mega Corporation.
Okay.
Mego, M-E-G-O.
Still a great name, though, for that makes robots. Like super evil corp.
It sounds like the evil corporation in Tron or something. Like, oh no, Mego Corporation.
Yeah. That's so good.
All right. And we're back. All right. So there's a host's retrocomputing gift idea. And this was something that Quinn found, actually.
Oh yeah.
Is it a 2XL robot from Mego Corporation?
That would be nice.
It will be.
But so this is it's the PBT Fans 1984 R2 keycap set. I can put it up here.
Right. Now I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I only know like a little bit about this. Quinn, maybe you know more about it. But
I gotta refresh my memory now. So it's it's a keycap set that you can buy for modern mechanical keyboards. People like to build those as a hobby, and but he's made keycaps that look exactly like Apple's best keyboards. So there's ones that look like early Mac keyboards, but more importantly, he has ones that use the same typeface and the same curvature and everything as the 2GS and the 2C Plus keyboards, which were the best keyboards Apple ever made. And so it's such a subtle thing, but we all recognize the typeface from our favorite keyboard, right? You see that Commodore 64, that Atari keycap, and you just know immediately that it's the right typeface because you spent so many hours looking at it. So when you see these keycaps with the correct, like, frog design typeface from 1986 or whatever, you recognize it immediately, and it just feels comforting. So I like that. And then he's got some retro themed accessory keys that just have the rainbow stripes on them for whatever reason. If you want to make your shift keys or whatever look rainbow, you can. And so he sells a bunch of different sets, and they're nicely made. They're not like 3D printed or whatever. They're all injection molded and screen printed and stuff. So they're proper keycaps. And I just thought it was a nice little thing that you could get if you're building a keyboard, or if you want to replace your existing keycaps if you have a mechanical keyboard. This would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, so these are just the caps. You have to bring your own keyboard. But
yes, yeah, it's assuming that you have Cherry key switches that everybody uses for their mechanical keyboard builds, or if you have a a mechanical keyboard from the 90s, like a Model M or something, you could replace the keycaps with these. I'm sure they're pretty standard stems. Up until like everyone started using laptops, keyboards were all pretty standardized in terms of the keycaps there. But obviously nowadays you can't change them anymore. But
this reminds me of two digressions that I would like to share.
Okay.
One was when I was in Korea. Maybe this is a thing in the United States too, but I only saw it in Korea. The shops, many of the shops had keycap keychains, and so it would be like a little, like 3 or 5 little clicky key caps with cute little designs that many of them you could choose your initials, or you could get the cute little characters you like, the Samurai or whatever, and then you'd put on your keychain, and then you could click them, and then you could even choose whatever you like, the black, do you like the blue, what level of clickiness you want, and it was just like a little toy that you could fidget with, and they were just adorable. It was different colored keycaps and stuff. I just Googled keycap keychain, and apparently it's a thing. Anyway, that was fun. And I didn't see any ones that had the OG Macintosh keyboard style keycaps, but they were more modern. Anyway, that was a lot of fun and kind of neat to see. And the other thing, you reminded me of a TikTok. You're talking about Macintoshes. Paul, can you play this video in your window and share it? So this Computer History Museum made a Big Mac. they 3D printed a Mac Plus, and if you can play the sound, it's got the keyboard sound too that you want out of a Mac keyboard.
I think the sound is not going to come through.
Okay, well, it's just that hollow kind of, yeah. Anyway, the thing is just like, I don't know, twice as big as it should be. Actually more than that. And they 3D printed it, and there's a real Mac inside running an emulator, and so you can use Mac Word or Mac Paint or whatever on this absurdly large Macintosh Plus.
Is that great?
To the left of it looks like they have an SE or something that's like actual size, right?
Right. Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Just for comparison.
So
it's
I
like,
don't know. I think 3D printers there's a lot of stupid stuff that people make plastic waste with, and a lot of it's dumb. But I love this, and I want one of these Mac Plus.
So just for our podcast listeners, yeah. So this is a TikTok video of a woman typing at the Computer History Museum, apparently on a hugely sized Macintosh Plus. Like each key is like the size of her palm, and it's pretty fantastic. Actually, it's funny that the actual Mac next to it looks like a toy. Like it looks fake. Like, were they really that small? Yeah, apparently they actually are. This is great.
Yeah, I think it is. It looks to me like the video screen on the large Mac is actually about the same size as the entire height of the SE.
Yeah. That's, what is that, like a 30-inch screen, probably, something like that.
I don't know.
It's big.
Yep.
There is on tomshardware.com, which is just something that came up when I listed it. There's a little article talking about it. So
there's an article about it, but they didn't have a link to the video. So
the video is worthwhile.
20 inches, it said, was the screen, which it looked bigger than that, actually. That's it's an impressive 3D print. It's not that easy to 3D print things that big, because you can't do single pieces that large on a 3D printer. So you have to make it in pieces, and then you have to like Bondo and sand it all to make it look contiguous. And so it's no small thing to make something printed that big and look that good.
I think there was, I have this feeling, part of why I was looking this up is that I think there was it's possible that on Retro Maccast, they talked to someone who built something like this, if not this, about how it was produced. But I can't read fast enough to figure that out. So if there may be another one, maybe it's not quite this big. But.
Well, I think if you make it with the 20-inch screen, you could be able to make it with a 50-inch screen. Yeah, keep going.
Just like big or whatever. Yeah, it says like type. You need to jump from key to key.
That Tom Hanks movie where he's jumping
Yeah,
on the
like big.
keyboard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. So I guess that was the gift idea plus tangents.
That's this entire show plus tangents.
Yeah. And so now I guess we can move to eBay auctions. And as it happens, it seems that I am the only one who has any eBay auctions.
Yeah, we've heard the podcast.
Yeah, we know you're going to come with 50 items anyway, so we'll pick however many we need to fill whatever desired time.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I think this first one, I think we probably talked about this before. It showed up, so I thought it might be sort of interesting. It is the Core CL9 Master Universal Remote Control, which is something it's a little company that Steve Wozniak was also responsible for starting.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never actually seen one, so that's really neat. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, when Woz left Apple, he went and started a universal remote control company because he wanted to keep making that kind of low-level, simple hardware. But he was looking for a new application for it because computers had kind of gotten too sophisticated. You couldn't design one by yourself anymore. But this thing, he could go off and design it by himself. And it failed horribly, but I've never actually seen one. So
I owned one of these for a while.
Really?
Really?
Someone who worked at the company, who was not Woz, had one and gave it to me, and it sat in my closet for a number of years. I didn't have in the picture here. We've got the pretty box and the manuals, and I just had a Ziploc bag with the remote and some cables in it. But yeah, I had it for a number of years, and it was useless and looked cool though. And I think I got rid of it maybe on eBay or something when I moved from California in the 2000s. So
yeah, it is sort of tempting to these are the sorts of things where it's like it's kind of cool, but if it's just going to sit in your closet,
Yeah. That's neat though. I had never seen one. I didn't know what they actually looked like. This speaks to me on a bunch of levels because I also, so speaking of zealotry again, I was in the universal remote community, which is a hobby for quite a while, from about 1997 through about 2008, something like that. I was really into this because in those days, that was kind of the Wild West of universal remotes because home theaters had exploded and suddenly you needed 10 remotes on your coffee table, which was incredibly annoying, but there was no good products solving that problem. So people were doing it themselves. And there was a lot of homebrew stuff and people were trying to do it with Palm Pilots and all these other things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I did that. I had a Palm program that would do that.
Yeah.
Like you could train it and then it could replay it back.
Yeah. So there was a series of niche products that came along that were really expensive and very hardcore technical requirements to use them and so on. Like literally like hand coding IR signals to reverse engineer what your TV needed to switch sources or whatever. And so that was a whole hobby. But nowadays it's all been taken over by the Logitech Harmony. That's just, if you want a universal remote, you buy that one. It's a solved problem now, but for 10 years.
It kind of is. Actually, they're kind of sliding back. Like the one that I have two of, the Logitech Harmony, I don't remember what its model of it. It doesn't have a screen. It has actual buttons and no screen. And you can use the remote without looking at it.
Right.
Or you can hover your finger over the mute button and know you're going to hit the mute button when the commercial comes or whatever. And then they don't make it that anymore. And the ones they make now are just it's not a bad word, enshittified in various, just whatever. They just worse and worse. So I'm just hoping that my whatever model of Logitech Harmony I have never goes away.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because that tension between physical buttons and touchscreens goes all the way back to the beginning of the hobby. So one of my favorites was I believe it was called the MX1000. I think if you
I remember that one. That was the big, it was a big honky guy, right?
Yeah, and it had like a joystick in the middle, and so it was one of the first ones that was a compromise between touchscreen and physical buttons. So the really important stuff like channel and volume and stuff were all physical buttons, but then it also had the touchscreen area, so you could configure it for different specialty uses and so on. This was the last version of it. So I had like the first version of this, which was even chunkier and clunkier. But these ones were fully programmable, so you could upload entirely your own software to them. You could make the screen do anything you wanted, and you could make all the buttons do anything you wanted.
Can you run Doom on it?
Probably. And so they were kind of the core of this hobby for a while. But yeah, that tension has always existed, and it still does, as you point out. So I have the Logitech, I have the Harmony 650, which actually looks quite similar to this. It has a small screen with some customization, but most of the buttons are still physical. And like you, they'll pry that from my cold dead hands because I can't stand touch screens. The same thing with cars, right? They keep trying to put touch screens in cars, and it's a terrible idea. Like if you have to look down to change the heater control and cause an accident, that's obviously a stupid design, but they keep doing it. And I don't know why, but yeah, it was a thing, and now gradually the companies, like as with any industry, all bought each other and got absorbed into each other, and then Logitech bought everybody, and now they just have the only product, and it's fine. And it's what people use now. But anyway, for a long time, universal remotes were an entire hobby. That's the nerdiest thing I've ever been.
Doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have to make that face? Exactly. That seemed unnecessary.
Let's see. What else? This one was left over. I don't think we talked about it before, but of course that was November. But
a lifetime ago.
Yeah. It's a Province 8D. We talked a little bit about the Province, Bulgarian computer, partly because they kept making sort of like Apple II clones. So I think I have an 8C, which is a 2E clone or something like that. I mean, like they it was just sort of like the local Bulgarian computer company. But this one is an 8D, which is an Auric Atmos clone, which I think is just sort of interesting, just because the Auric Atmos is itself pretty obscure. It is another.
It's a clone of the Auric Atmos. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That took me a minute.
And I don't have one of these. It's a 6502, computer. I don't really know what would make it stand out, except that it's just, it's kind of a cool name. It reminds me actually of now I've forgotten the name of the computer in Blake 7, but it's something close to Auric. Might be Orac or something. But so I always have that association. Maybe people don't know what Blake 7 even is, but anyway, old British sci-fi with comically bad special effects.
Well, the only reason I know about this thing is because the name of the company is Tangerine. And there was this brief moment in the early 80s where everybody was naming their companies after fruit, trying to like ride Apple's coattails. So there was a banana and there was an orange. And then, so I kind of, they all caught my eye. Anytime I heard about a fruit computer, I went and looked at what it was. So it's the only reason I've seen this thing before.
Yeah. Probably not that pleasant to type on, but.
No, it looks terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, so I think they're fairly obscure. Like, I don't, if they were easy to get, I'd have one. But I think they're also European primarily.
Yeah, it looks like it was UK only, so that would be probably why we've never seen them.
I had we're going through things that used to be in my closet. That Auric one there on top, I owned one of those for a while, and it was fine. It sat in the same closet as the remote control until I got rid of it.
Yeah. It's that's the thing that's so annoying about all this stuff. Like as I'm sort of cleaning things out, it's like, oh, this is a cool thing. This is a cool thing. But I'm like I never got back to it. It's just a cool thing that someday would be fun to play with.
Well, and a lot of this stuff is not great to play with now for the same reason it was useless at the time, which is that there was no software. So like, you're going to turn this thing on and look at its basic prompt and type a basic program in, and then what? You can't do anything else with it. Which is the same reason nobody bought it at the time.
Well, you can do whatever you could do on your Province 8D, I guess.
Yeah, both things.
Right.
That's a strange target for a clone, though. That's fascinating. Maybe because they could get the license cheap or something. I wonder why they would bother to clone that. Like cloning the 2 Plus makes obvious sense, but
licensing.
this thing. Yeah. I guess they weren't. Yeah, the Bulgarians weren't too concerned about that, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
I think that was mostly what I was thinking, is that like it didn't, like, license is not a thing that
Yeah.
they were worried about.
But then why would they clone this? I don't know. This is weird. Maybe it's simple. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was easy to clone, and so they thought, well, let's give it a shot and see.
Yeah.
Pravits is the computer that's closest to my last name, so there's
Sure.
something there.
There you go. Yeah, we've talked a lot about them because they punched way above their weight in terms of influence on the current state of computing. Like every Eastern European programmer that I ever worked with in industry, which was a lot of them, all started on the Pravits. Like it was, not just the Bulgarians, but if you grew up in what's now Serbia or what was then Czechoslovakia or any of these areas, like you used Pravitses. And so that this computer, well, not this one, but the 2+ Pravits, the 8C, created a lot of software engineers 30 years later.
Excellent.
Very good ones, I might add.
It looks to me like, as I'm looking at this, like I have a lot of just jokes. So this is
made me laugh out loud. I looked ahead to the next thing, and I'm
in the show notes I said Elizabethan typing.
The jokes they write themselves.
But anyway.
That's so good.
Yeah, this the next one I had, like the next joke one, was, in the notes I wrote 3 tiny Apple programs, which is it's a Nibble book. Nibble, the Apple II programming magazine, put together a book. It's probably supposed to really be 3-minute Apple programs, but I read it as 3 minute Apple programs and then thought it was funny.
I mean, it's probably both.
Right. 3 minute. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You can also get rice like that, I think.
Minute rice. Yeah. Well, I don't want giant rice. That's weird. Of course it's minute. So lest we forget, this is a podcast. The previous one was a listing for Microsoft Typing Tutor, but there was a typo in the name of the item. So apparently this person should spend more time using it and less time trying to sell it.
Yes,
it says Microsoft Typing Tutor, as in Elizabethan. Yeah,
as in the British monarchy period when they put half-timbered houses everywhere.
Yeah,
tutors.
Yeah, actually, most of these things are not that interesting, but okay, here we are. I put Sargon 2 up. This is Apple II Hayden software, Sargon 2. Looks nice. It's in a box. It was a pretty big deal chess program. The Sargon and then Sargon 2, and I think it went up to Sargon 6 or something before they stopped. But and actually, honestly, the only thing that really caught my attention primarily about this is just that I think it's pretty cool that so they have these kind of like iconic red discs with these gray labels on them. Those gray labels do not stick. I mean, like 60% of the Hayden discs have loose labels in the sleeves. But the thing that's kind of cool about it is that the address of Hayden software is just like a 5-minute walk from me. It happens to be in my town.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this because, of course, I only ever had a distributed backup with this program. But this program has a special meaning for me. It was my first. It was my finest hour of brown nosing. In 6th grade, I had a copy of this, and my grade 6 French teacher, Monsieur Bourbonnière, if you're listening, you were great. And he was really, really into chess. And we had an Apple II Plus in the corner of the classroom, like we all did, and nobody ever used it. But I forget, I don't know, I don't remember how the subject came up, but I think I was playing it actually at lunch or something. And he was a chess guy, and he came over, and he didn't realize he could be playing against the computer at chess as much as he wanted. And so he asked if I could just leave it. And I took the disk home because I told him as long as you don't turn the machine off, it was a single boot program. So as long as he didn't turn the machine off, he could just play as much chess as he wanted. And he was the happiest I've ever seen him. So yeah, I earned a lot of points that day, Monsieur Bourbonnière.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. They actually, the authors of Sargon, I think it was originally written for might have been on the Z80. But they published a book with the code and like a walkthrough of how to do it, and it it is actually kind of amazing that they managed to do this in such a small space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no great chess player, but it was certainly like at its highest level, I couldn't beat it. I mean, it was a perfectly competent chess program, which on an Apple II is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I'm not sure quite why I put this in, but this is the next thing I have is a Radio Shack TRS-80 microcolor computer MC10. So I think this was mentioned last time too, actually. It's it's another one of these. It looks like an Auric. It's a little chiclet keyboard Radio Shack computer. And I think probably one of the things that we mentioned about it last time was that there is someone on archive.org who's maintaining a page of like a massive page of MC10 software. But the thing I thought was just kind of interesting about this partly was just that it comes in the box. Doesn't look like it has the manuals actually. Now that I'm flipping through it, but it's shown to work, and it's right now. It's been bid up to $28, so it's like it's not going for too much, given that it has the box too.
It's surprising that there's 9 bids on this already, and there's still 8 days to go. Wow, there's some people that want this.
Yeah. So and this too, I think, is probably a repeat of what I said last time. But I have one of these in the box. Mine has the manuals, and it was one of those things that I was kind of going through and trying to decide. Like, I'll show this later, I think. But I've been kind of like taking video of myself, like using the things, taking it out of the box, sort of like, so I have some record of the thing, and then I'll get rid of it. But as I was playing around with this, it was so much fun that I think I might not get rid of it. which I found surprising, but I mean, it's a new ecosystem trying to figure out how to make the graphics work. The manual's pretty good about like kind of showing you how to do it.
Just wait till Tom releases FujiNet for it, and then it'll be everything you ever wanted out of it.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be able to track the space station or whatever.
Right.
So it's I think it might actually be a kind of a fun little thing to play with, particularly if you can get it for $30. Okay. Anyway, okay. 2 more things that I found. I think this kind of struck me just because. So what I'm looking at is it's Chaos, the software. So it's MS-DOS software. And on the top it says James Glick's Chaos, the software. It's I think it's Windows. Requires a PCXT. So it's not. I guess maybe it isn't actually Windows. But highly recommended having a math coprocessor and so forth. And so maybe this is just me, but this book, I felt like this book was huge and everywhere. This, James Glick Chaos book. Is this familiar to people?
No, I have not actually seen
okay.
this.
So it was maybe just a personal experience of mine, but I mean, seeing this, I didn't know that it existed in software form, but it has in the middle of the book, it sort of describes chaotic dynamics and what fractals are, and has a lot of nice little plates in the middle, sort of showing these things. And I guess this is software you could use to generate those things if you had 4 weeks available.
And a math coprocessor.
Yeah. Autodesk Inc. Yeah.
So it's sort of a proto Mathematica for generating fractals, I guess.
Yeah, probably much more focused, but interesting. Well, okay. I for some reason I thought this was in the general consciousness much more than it seems to have been. But anyway,
sounds like an Ivory Tower Boston thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't you all know who James Glick is? Of course.
DJB says in the chat, I never needed any software to create chaos.
Right. Yeah.
Hashtag truth.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. So if this is that book on Amazon, it does exist. I wasn't making it up.
Okay.
But I wonder if I still have mine.
It says it's a national bestseller, so I guess I was just reading the wrong books.
Yeah.
Well, you're in Canada, so your national's different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
So, but I do remember the excitement about chaos theory right at the time. Like it's like the reason that the guy in Jurassic Park is a chaos math guy, and the butterfly effect was the name of a movie. Like it was definitely in the gestalt at the time, this idea of chaos theory and that type of math. It was briefly delved into the popular culture there. So
Yeah.
this is probably a bestseller for that reason, for that overlap.
Yeah, and I think it was public. What are you trying to say? What am I trying to say? For the popular audience.
Accessible, yeah, like a Stephen Hawking book, like accessible to the general public. Yeah.
Okay. The last thing I had was just, I thought it was sort of interesting to see that it existed. It's so the Apple Lisa had a 5.25-inch drive originally called the Twiggy drive, and the floppies were weird. They had like 2 windows, and it was a terrible drive. But what I found here is an auction for like an unopened 3M branded box of discs for that. So they were called the FileWare discs.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Look at the price, and look at the price they want.
Yeah.
They want almost $1,800 for it.
I mean, they might get it. That is incredible. An unopened box of 10 Twiggy discs. That's incredible. Yeah. I would have bet $1,800 that this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So here it is. That is incredible.
And then you would have lost that bet. Then I would have used that money to buy this box.
Yes, and I would have deserved it.
It is. I mean, I think it is kind of interesting though that like third parties were making these discs. Like they decided this was worth doing.
Well, they gambled, that it was going to take off. But wow, that's amazing. I mean, maybe 3M was. I'm sure 3M was making the discs for Apple, so then they also decided to sell them on the side. But yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah,
and you will never find a working Twiggy drive to put these in. That's the catch.
Right. Yeah.
Those drives do not survive, and they are very rare. And when you find them, they're not working. So
yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I will leave it there.
What was the capacity on the Twiggy drive? It was like 3 megabytes or something. It was very impressive for a 5.25.
I don't know, but yeah, it definitely was more because they used both sides. It was a double-sided simultaneous.
When it was extremely dense, like too dense for the format, which is why it made them unreliable, which is why it ultimately died, and they replaced it with 3.5s. But yeah, I remember it was like insanely dense for a 5.25.
And I think it also had variable speed.
Yes,
so it would go.
Yeah, it was constant linear velocity as opposed to constant radial velocity or whatever. Yeah. So which something Apple continued to do all the way up through 3.5s as well, which I had an argument with my hardware prof in computer science about that. When we were learning about how floppy drives worked and talking about 3.5s, I explained to him that the Mac ones were constant linear velocity and the sectors were larger on the outer parts of the disk, and he didn't believe me that existed. He was a jerk. But also I was his TA, so I actually sort of liked him. It was a complicated relationship. That's TMI. I don't know.
871 approximate formatted storage capacity in kilobytes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was higher than that. Okay. Yeah. So that's actually because there was PC 5.25s that were 1.2 megabytes, right? So that's actually not that high. Okay. All right.
Though I feel like those were later. That was certainly like 88-ish or something.
Yeah, I guess it was 871. I guess was impressive for 1984 or whatever that was. The Lisa was first coming out.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've made it through the eBay things that I had. So we can now, I guess, go to the sort of free-form closing discussions. Kay, I guess you have you are alphabetically first here.
Oh, alphabetically, I am first. Let's see. Since this is the first episode of the year, I'll mention some stuff I did like in end of December, early January. At the end of every year, I write a thing almost for me and for my Patreon backers, but mostly for me, about what I did in archiving in the last year, what I got into Internet Archive and old computers and the interviews I did and that sort of thing. And I call it my wrapped document. So anyway, I wrote my K's 2025 wrapped, and I'm glad I do this because I've forgotten about some of this stuff as I went through like stuff I uploaded to the archive and podcast interviews I did. It's like, oh yeah, that was amazing. That was this year. Okay. So, anyway, I did a bunch of newsletters. One of my favorite projects in the year, I'm not going to list everything I did, but someone had sent me, this Atari computer group, this particular Atari computer group in New Jersey had a newsletter exchange with other Atari newsletters from other Atari Computer Club newsletters from all over the world, and they save them into these pretty binders, and so by month and year, so you can, you could go to them and like look at all the newsletters saved in particular month and year. And most of those I assume are gone or lost or in somebody's basement. But somehow I ended up with their collection of Atari newsletters from August 1987, and from a couple in Canada, mostly in the United States, a couple internationally. And I scanned them all and put them all up on Internet Archive. And so we have this perfect time capsule of the Atari world in August 1987. And you can see like everything, the gestalt of what people were thinking about. There's a lot of the same topics come up again, and there's particular conferences that were happening or whatever little dramas were going on. So it just makes me happy, and we got it all. I got it all scanned, and you can read them individually or in one giant 700-page book in an archive. And actually, just last week, the Strong Museum said that they wanted them, and so now they are in Rochester, New York, and in their permanent collection. So if someone for some reason needs to see the original paper versions, you can go to the Strong Museum in Rochester, New York, and see them. So anyway, I did my wrap thing on my Patreon, and the other thing I wanted to mention that I did at the turn of the year was I have when I write articles for Juiced.gs magazine, which is the Apple II magazine that still exists. My deal with Ken over there is he gets it for a year, and then I can do what I want with it. So I posted my articles that were more than a year old, and a couple of them I'm particularly proud of, and want to mention here if somebody wants to read a couple of interesting articles. They're up on Internet Archive now under Creative Commons license. One is called Chasing the Dragon, about me trying to find out about the Tic-Tac-Toe, the game show Tic-Tac-Toe, about the dragon. It was animated on 9 Apple II computers, and I wanted to see if I could get a picture, like could we get picture or video of those computers? And I managed to find it on YouTube. This is a story about how Bob Bishop, thank you, wrote the code for it, and he was interviewed years ago. And then I got a picture of some of those computers running. It's just a story about how it all worked, and that's online now. And the other article that I wrote that I'm very proud of is called "What's Your Love Language?" And it was about a man in the 80s, a Universal Life Church bishop, right? You pay your $10 or whatever, and you can marry people. Well, he was using an Apple II computer to marry people, and the system was called Reverend Apple. And I interviewed him about that time, and he gave a great interview, and he told us a story about the people. He got huge press. It was in Time magazine. He was mentioned in an official Apple computer ad as like a thing you can do with an Apple computer. It was in the New York Times and the Today Show. In the end, he actually used the computer to marry like 6 people. But he just got huge press for it. Anyway, so I interviewed him. I wrote an article, and so that's on archive now. So, and lately I've been trying to get as many articles as I ever wrote. I wrote a lot of stuff in the 90s and 2000s for computer magazines, and I've been adding my clip file on archive. So now I've got like more than 300 articles, but those aren't really relevant to RCR. but Reverend Apple and Tic-Tac-Toe Dragon certainly are.
Yeah, the Bob Bishop, I think it was like a year or two before he passed away, did a Kansas Fest keynote, and where he talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of my sources for the article. Yep. And M. McGinnis interviewed him as well, so that was also good.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that game show until you showed the screenshots of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I would have had no idea that the graphics were all done on Apple II. That's neat.
Yeah, but once you see it, you see, oh yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's obviously low-res Apple II graphics when you see it, but yeah, it was obviously a good fit for broadcast television at the time.
Yeah, I think I know I at least made an attempt briefly to sort of like, write a little program that would make the letters and make the dragon and stuff like that. But Randy, I think somebody did this. Somebody actually, no, I forget who it was, but someone actually did as a Hackfest project do this. Oh no, I know who it was. Well, anyway, I'm blanking on his name right now, but I can picture him.
It's a good idea for a project, actually. Yeah, I was going to ask if that code has survived anywhere, Bob Bishop's code for doing that.
I don't think the original code exists anymore, as far as I know, but yeah.
And I think it was also there was another machine involved. There's like an S100 machine involved.
It was an Altair, I think. I think it was an Altair. I have to reread my article. I don't know. I wrote it more than a year ago. But it coordinated the 9 Apple IIs somehow.
Yeah, in the picture that all 9 Apple IIs had their own tape drive attached. So maybe the S100 machine was telling them to load certain things at certain times or something.
Right. Yeah. So I think it was done via. I think my guess. I don't know anything. My guess is that after the initial programs were launched, I think it was done via serial or the cassette data or something, but not actually the cassette tape. I think it was some sort of serial communication.
Yeah, makes sense. Very cool.
Yeah. By the way, it was Eric Rangel who made the sort of Kansas Fest related modern day project to recreate some of those graphics. But okay, let's see. I guess I had also sort of like archive.org related stuff that I wanted to talk about, because I have been going through and sort of like scanning magazines that didn't seem to be up there, just so that like I can get rid of them. But so one of the ones that I've been doing is I'm almost done with this now, the soft talk for the IBM PC, which I'm sure I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's so soft talk for the Apple II was a huge deal. I mean, like that was like the magazine. It had technical stuff, it had human interest stuff, it had market, industry stuff, and I think it was, so this is I think the second one that I have on the screen. I think it was in June 1982 they launched for the PC, and I always find it kind of interesting just because it is you can tell that it's soft talk if you read the Apple one, but in this alternate universe that it's all about PCs and all the everything, and actually it turns out to be quite a bit more business focused, just because that's what people did. But it's definitely interesting to do this. Some of these issues are like 220 pages long. I mean, they take a long time to scan, but it's definitely pretty interesting.
Nice.
So one of the things I've been spending time doing.
Wow, 220 pages. Wow, it's crazy seeing a magazine for a platform that isn't dying.
Well, eventually it got thinner and thinner, and then they started putting on newsprint. And then...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There were a couple of other ones that I was doing. So Enter. I did want to bring this up because I had never really heard of this, but Quinn apparently loved this magazine.
Yeah. So, like many at that young age, we had a subscription to 321 Contact. And then I think through some ad in that, they announced they were coming out with this computer magazine. And it was called Enter. And it was extremely short lived. I subscribed to it at incredible cost because it was an American magazine. And so it was like 3 times the cost plus like 3 times again for shipping. And it was bananas expensive. But it was my favorite thing ever, and it was very shortly. There was only 8-10 issues of it or something, and then it was canceled. But it was basically a technical computer magazine for kids, so it had programs and programming tips, and yeah, it was absolutely a drug for me. This magazine, it was everything I wanted, and then it was gone, and I was sad.
Yeah, it was like a children's television workshop production, but yeah, sorry.
If history is any indication, Paul, these will be taken down. So, download the PDFs while you can, people, because you are not the first person to have scanned and uploaded Enter magazines.
Oh, okay. Well, I will go grab them quickly then. It was basically like the Usborne books in magazine form and from an American perspective instead of a UK perspective. So I've talked about this before, but it takes a certain audacity to target technical content at very young children, but there were a few outlets willing to do it. And this magazine was one. So it was just, if you were, a hardcore computer kid at this time, it was like, oh, finally somebody is speaking to me. It wasn't just like having to read adult books and try to, understand them, or having to read general interest magazines and having to be bored by them or whatever. Like, so this was technical content written for kids. And that was such a precious thing.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting to look at this. And so I started doing this after I had been doing some of the Teaching in Computers magazine that I have, which is that's Scholastic, and it is aimed at like elementary school teachers. So it's sort of about kids and computers, but it's not aimed at the kids. So it's full of stuff. It's interesting because there are ads that are targeted for the teachers. So like there are Apple ads I'd never seen before because I wasn't reading these books or these magazines. And they often came with a big poster. I'm not sure if this one did, but so that they would have like things you could cut out and photocopy, and lesson plans, and so it is interesting to see. And actually, there's a recurring theme in the advertisement for the magazine itself that's like, "Have you been stealing your friends? Maybe you should subscribe on your own."
Yeah, because there was one subscription for the school district, and they were just passing them around.
Yeah.
It's neat, though. It's neat to see behind the curtain like this. I didn't know that there was magazines like this that were just for the other side.
Yeah. And so this is another, like, what I have been doing is just like flipping through the magazines on camera, which I think is actually kind of it. There's something that's kind of neat about that. I mean, like you can sort of go through the scan, but it's also kind of cool to like just see the thing, or like the poster in the middle.
Yeah.
This one I happen to have like a separate, like I had 2 copies of it. So I had a poster that I didn't have to rip out, but.
Well, and at the start of this, you flipped past an ad for Logo Writer, which was my unicorn for the longest time. We've talked about it before, but yeah, it was a special version of Logo for education that let you do all this cool stuff, that let you make your own games and stuff that regular Logo wasn't really set up to do. And for years and years, I had this memory of this program, and nobody else seems to have heard of it. And here it is, an ad for it in this magazine. So it did exist. I didn't imagine the best 3 years of elementary school.
Yeah. It is a lot of these ads do recur, so that one is in a lot of these, but it is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it let you just define your own sprites and stuff. So it was super easy to make games. Junior high, not elementary, but yeah, in junior high school, me and my best friend just spent all of our time making games in Logo Writer, much to our teacher's chagrin. Yeah. But it was great.
So it's possible that these also will go down soon. So I don't know if Scholastic is as litigious as CTW, but
I don't know.
I've kept my own copies, but I also put them on archive.org. Anyway, yeah, so I've been spending a fair amount of time doing that. That's the main thing I had to report. Quinn, what's up with you?
Well, you two are a tough act to follow. I don't have anything to compare to scanning or summarizing my year of contributions to the community or any such things. I haven't actually even turned on any retro computers since we recorded last, but I have been doing some retro adjacent things. It's funny how sometimes retro computing is the best education you ever had, because that knowledge keeps coming back and being useful. So I recently got into a new hobby, which is model railroading. And just when you thought I couldn't get nerdier, I'm like, hold my beer and watch this. So the current standard of operation in model railroading is this thing called DCC, which is digital command control. And it's one of those things where it's a very expensive product line, and you have to buy all these expensive products to talk to this digital protocol that allows you to run multiple trains and different lighting systems and sound systems and so on, all through these digital systems on the rails. But I got to a point where I couldn't buy a widget that did the exact thing I wanted. And so I started doing some research. And of course, this DCC protocol turns out to be super simple. It's essentially, it's a kind of a superset of RS-232. It's a 14 volt digital logic kind of protocol that's very, very simple to talk to. And because it was standardized in the late 1980s, and at that certain what was high tech at the time, and in order to maintain backward compatibility, they've never changed it. So for 30 years, it's just been this same 1980s standard running everybody's model railroads. And as soon as I found that out, I'm like, oh, well, stand back, friends, and watch this. So I started buying Arduinos and reverse engineering the protocols. And of course, other people have already done that. So you can buy Arduino libraries to talk to it and do all of this stuff. And so that's, so I've been having retro fun in that sense of leveraging all of my 80s programming knowledge to write custom control panels and other integrated systems for this protocol.
So you can do whatever you want with it rather than what they've canned into the thing. So you made it an open world when it's supposed to be on Rails.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because it's a hobby. The standard was actually set up by the NMRA, the National Model Railroad Association, and they actually went into it with good intentions. So it is actually an open source standard, but layered on top of it, there's a bunch of closed source things that the manufacturers have put on top of it. So like one of the major brands is called Digitrax, and they have their standard called LocoNet, which is basically a layer that kind of sits on top of and beside DCC. It's complicated, but LocoNet, it turns out, is also just a simple, again, 80s level of protocol, which you can talk to with TTL chips or Arduinos or whatever very, very easily. And so, of course, again, people immediately reverse engineered that, and it's all online. So there's GitHub libraries to talk to LocoNet. And
there's got to be a joke there about train engineering and reverse engineering and
yeah, exactly. What if I want to go forward? That's all I got. So yeah, it's just funny how this retro knowledge keeps coming back, because if you get into modern embedded systems or model railroads or other things, it's all the same. The technology has not advanced very far past Apple IIs and Atari 8-bits in the last 30 years in many niches and verticals, because it's still working and they want to be backward compatible. So it's all the same stuff. And it's.
Do you wear you have a little striped hat?
I don't have a little striped hat.
Oh, man.
It's on the list. I do. I do have one for Sprocket. My cat has a little striped hat.
Excellent.
Little
striped cat.
A little striped cat hat. Yeah. Because a viewer of my YouTube channel actually sent it to me because he makes them, and I tried to put it on her once and almost died, but it was so worth it for the picture. Yeah, it was nearly the last thing I did, but it was a great 1.2 seconds. And
still recovering from the scratches on your arms.
Oh yeah, no, it was weeks in hospital, but worth it. So that's that. The only other, I guess, sort of retro adjacent thing is that it's kind of a golden age for retro feeling video games. And so I've been playing a lot of those. Last recording, I talked about OpenRCT2, which I got sucked into. Again, zealotry is the theme. So Roller Coaster Tycoon had such zealous fans that they were willing to spend countless thousands of hours completely reverse engineering that game and building a new open source version of it that's pixel perfect and cycle accurate, which is amazing. So I played a lot of that, but so I've gotten into a new one called The Last Starship, which is a Steam game, and it's modern, but it has a very retro feel to it. It's kind of a roguelike. It's very much a game that like Origin would have made if the technology would have been capable of it at the time. So it feels very much like Space Rogue, and I'm really enjoying it. It's beautiful to look at. It does.
What did you say it was called?
The Last Starship. It just came out as a 1.0, and it's $20 or something on Steam. And it's not one of the stupid 3D games that still to me all look like crap. But it's all vector graphics, which is really cool. Again, it's the kind of thing that if they could have done it at the time, they would have. So it looks like pixel graphics, but it's all actually rendered with vectors. So you can zoom infinitely on the artwork, which is amazing. So you can zoom all the way in and like read the labels on the little crates that would have just been, a 16 pixel tile, in the 80s. But now you can zoom in and see like the little heads on the nails and stuff. It's wonderful. It makes me happy. So I've been playing a lot of that. That's kind of retro, I guess, but retro as an aesthetic is extremely popular right now. And I'm grateful for that.
It looks beautiful. I don't really play games, but
yeah.
I see the appeal to this. That's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got.
Cool. Yeah, I was briefly just kind of wondering what, like, I think I saw an ad in the soft talk for the IBM PC for something called Rogue, which made me wonder like what was Rogue.
Well, it was originally it was a Unix game. It was a mainframe game that then got ported to most home computers at various times. So there were home computer versions of it for Commodores and Apples and stuff. Yeah. And then the modern successor to Rogue is NetHack, which I think a lot of us probably played NetHack in the 90s, or possibly still do. And then, but for whatever reason, I guess because it's catchier, permadeath procedurally generated games as a genre became roguelikes and not NetHack-likes, which is harder to say. But roguelikes are also extremely popular nowadays.
Yeah, I do see. Yeah, Epic seems to have published a version of this under the name Rogue, but it predated it.
Yeah,
Epic's is old too, though. I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Epic's. There was ports of the original text-based Rogue to all of the home computers, and also, if you saw the word Rogue in the title of a game, it usually meant it was a roguelike. So Origin had a game called Space Rogue, which was a 3D flying space game where you also could land on space stations and trade and so on. But it was a roguelike, and they sort of signaled that by calling it Space Rogue. So
interestingly, the first roguelike was arguably Beneath Apple Manor. So roguelike is a Beneath Apple Manor like. Rogue, I mean, is a Beneath Apple Manor like. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, it's worth mentioning that roguelike is a modern term. It's not something that people said back at the time. It's a retconned term. Now people look back at games like that and call them roguelikes, but that term didn't exist until recently.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, someone mentioned the Tech Model Railroad Club in our chat.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, they had a pretty fancy system. I did my graduate school, like my graduate school department was like down the hall from their like big layout. I almost never got a chance to go and see it, but because the door was usually closed, but they had a little sign that said Tech Model Railroad Club.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, it's worth mentioning that because the technical side of model railroading has always been there, and the MIT Club is fairly famous for having invented a lot of control systems for signaling and locomotive control and so on, all based on relays and PDPs and similar things. And it really wasn't until the 1980s when digital command control was standardized, and DCC was based on a commercial system at the time that was itself, I think, developed by one of those MIT engineers. So there's a lineage there that leads directly from the MIT group to modern DCC for sure.
Yeah. It is super frustrating though that I was when I was there, whatever it was mid to late 90s, and so like photography was not easy, and so I have like very little record of my time there and no record of like what that looked like. But anyway,
it's true. Photography used to be really hard. We forget that. There's a lot of stuff that we'll never know what it looked like because taking pictures was hard. Because even if you tried, I'm sure the lighting in that room wasn't very good, and you wouldn't have had a tripod, so everything would be blurry. Photography used to be really hard.
The building it was in actually quite a large building that was divided into, I think there were like 5 wings and a cross section. So it was sort of like it was like an E except with an extra thing. Very large, full of asbestos, built as built as a temporary building in World War II, and then just stayed all the way up until like 1998. But it was so one of the things I somewhere at some point I found blueprints or like as built prints of the building, and somewhere I have at least part of like a Doom level setup, that so she could actually like run around building 20. And I don't know, I thought it would be interesting, and then I had to do actual work, so never did finish it, and probably lost it since then. But anyway, that's what when I hear Tech Model Railroad Club, I always like have that string of connected memories.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it. It must have been quite a thing to see, because they started doing that in the 50s, like vacuum tubes and relays. They were doing digital control. So it must have been amazing to see it for sure.
Oh, and in fact, I bet that building is represented in The Lurking Horror, because that is a Infocom game sort of loosely based on MIT, but I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, it's possible that we should.
One more thing on the Tech Model Railroad Club. So the other thing that they pioneered was they used telephone exchanges. So before they got a PDP to control things centrally, they were using telephone exchange equipment to act as central control. So huge banks of relays that allowed you to dial in different control codes for different layers of the system. Anyway, I've read a lot about that system, and that's my favorite. It's had different eras. Like there was a vacuum tube era, and there's a PDP era, but the telephone relay era is the most interesting one, because so
you're going to do that for your setup, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, obviously, but that must have, imagine the racket that must have made, having a big relay-based telephone exchange panel in the middle of the room running everything. I would have loved to have seen that. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
With hearing protection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Standing on a gun range, probably.
All right. Perhaps we have made it. So thanks to everyone for joining us for the first recording of 2026. And that's it for this show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can find, I say this, lo-fi episodes and more via Gopher at rcrpodcast.com. Kay's hugging his robot.
as one does.
Yes. Speaking of robots,
anger the robot.
Yes. Part of the reason that I hesitate on finding the lo-fi episodes is that robots have ruined it. So it's actually offline at the moment because I can't stop the robots from stealing so much bandwidth that it becomes expensive. So still working on that. Maybe in the coming year.
2XL would never download your content without asking.
That's right.
2XL promises to obey robots.txt.
Is there a true or false button? Yeah.
Robots.8track.
Yeah. You can discuss the show in the forums at forum.vcfed.org/something. You can follow RCR on Mastodon at RCR Podcasts at podcasts.social. You can follow RCR on Blue Sky at rcrpodcast.com. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR podcast. You can send feedback to you can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. You can write a review on iTunes. And until next time,
Retrocompute.
Yes. Okay. I don't even try anymore. Cool. All right. That was not too bad lengthwise.
Yeah,
and it was fun to do.
great. Yeah. We never have trouble filling the time.
Yeah.
I know you're always worried we don't have enough news items, but we have yet to have an episode under 2 hours. So it doesn't seem to be an issue.
Right. Anyway, I'm glad it worked. It's ridiculous that it's been.
Thank you for helping me find my way here, Paul.
Yes. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I will stop the YouTube stream. Bye, everybody.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.